Hello, and welcome to the Needs Languages YouTube channel. I'm really glad you're here today. If you haven't yet, please do hit the subscribe button below. In the Needs Languages, we focus on personality, communication, belonging, and I have something for every week this year. However, at this point, I thought I would throw something in because new things come out. And we've done a lot of research through other people's materials because you have to research what other people are saying. We've done a lot of research with just a lot of in-depth research and documenting and all sorts of things on personality and how we navigate so that we can be as accurate as possible and bring you this information. So today, I want to talk about a particular thing that's going on. There was a Netflix special on Rael. And I'm going to take a few seconds and I'm going to put his picture up for a few seconds. And then you can kind of get an idea of who he is. So, Rael is a gentleman that came out of France. And in France, he played the guitar. I don't really think he has a good singing voice, but I've been trained, and I'd say he's no Dan Vasc. Dan is amazing metal singer that he's no Dan Vasc. Let's just put it that way. But the guy also did journalism. There's three things that I really heard out of this, and he was bullied at a young age. Now this gets interesting from the aspect of you're going to you're going to love this. This gets interesting from the aspect of when you understand those three pieces, it makes a lot of sense what went on with Rael. So Rael is again a journalist, and at that time in France, there was aliens. People were seeing sightings. So Rael decides, oh my gosh, I know religions because journalists do a lot of research. And he was up for a challenge. And what ended up happening is then he became this uh let's just say he as a journalist, he started researching all these different religions. And as he researched all these different religions and he jumped on the bandwagon of aliens, he said he was this messenger, which I think he realized that if he had come out saying he was someone like Jesus Christ and this was back in the 70s, he wouldn't have had the following. He used this to create his following because a lot of people were like, what's going on here? Oh, they've been telling me the Elohim. Now, what's also interesting, and I find this very insulting, is he took a Jewish star and he put a swastika in the middle of it. And if you know anything about history, we know Nazis used the swastika and used the Jewish star to harm people. So here Rael goes to Israel at first, and he's like, I'm going to do this, and the Israel is like, no. I mean, I would feel that would be insulting. And he basically got kicked out of France, got kicked out of Canada, created a whole scam apparently on the first clone baby, him and I think her name's Bridget. Now, also, someone to me, they had accusations of him being a pedophile. And I would agree with that because when you are over, I think it was 20 to 30 years older than a 16-year-old and you marry her and she was birthed and groomed for you to be your wife and then you throw her away when she gets too old, that to me is really sick behavior because no human should be groomed for another human and then be thrown away. That's just, to me, that's another form of slavery. And his young wife had posed in Playboy, and they just used her as this piece. It was very sick. Now, I am doing a series that you can purchase on vows, commitment, and promise. And it's going to be uh, one lesson, a blessing lesson on this. And it is set so we can kind of understand behaviors like Rael and how do we protect ourselves. See, Rael knew how to tap into people. And this is where we talk about like the dark empath and how to tap into people. And we have been doing a lot of research on this. I have a book that I will launch when people are more open and ready for that. And I talk about it from a whole nother perspective. I talk about it from what we just talked about, that kind of a perspective and how that impacts us. Now, I've always heard a lot of people say, oh, I would never get caught in a cult. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. And this isn't a cult example. This is an example of how easily any of us can be fooled. I was in a meeting at a conference, and the speaker said, this can't change multiple times. And this gentleman then challenges it and says, yeah, you can. And I turned around and gave him one of the dirtiest looks. I was a little triggered, I will be honest. And I had to say to him, you can't. What are you talking about? He goes, well, I do change management. I can get anyone to change. Well, after that, I talked to a few people, and they said, oh, he's just this really nice guy. He's learned EQ and emotional equivalence. He's just a great guy. Later, after that, he walked up to me, and I am like in the middle of something, interrupts me with a cheeky smile and says, will you please forgive me? And I'm looking at him going, what are you talking about? This isn't about forgiveness. This is about education. We're all learning. I had learned a valuable lesson in this. So I was good. And then he proceeds, as he's apologizing, saying his daughter tells him this all the time, the same thing the speaker said. The bottom line was he was trying to get me to conform to what his idea was, and he did not understand why I couldn't. And there's a difference between tools and forcing someone to conform. It's like when you say, oh, you should be able to walk up those steps, and someone's blatantly in a wheelchair. Are you going to try and change them so that they can? Probably not. That's a very, it's just not okay to expect certain things like that. Now you can give them tools, like there could be a lift, a ramp. That's like a tool. But to expect them to walk up the steps is unreasonable. And when this person did this, it showed me his character. What was interesting is that other people were seeing his character was wonderful. But then I actually saw his character by his words. He confirmed himself. And this brings me to my point. We are not teaching each other to listen to each other's hearts. We don't listen to each other's hearts in a place where we condemn each other. Like I said, to me, it wasn't about forgiveness. It was over and done with. It was, he has to live with that. He has to go back to his world. And if he doesn't get it, that's his choice. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. It was about learning. And either you're going to learn or not. But his heart was saying something completely different, and we weren't taught to listen to so I listened to people's words, and that's what told me you are trying to justify yourself in this situation, and I don't want to waste my time on that. But other people are like, oh, he's this great guy. I've been listening to things on heart coherence and listening to the heart and learning how to fully listen to what human beings are not only saying but what their heart speaks, because as a person thinks in their heart, so they are. What we speak is, I say this all the time, we speak who we are, we speak what we need. We're just not trained to listen. We want to listen to what we want to hear. And this is how we tap into each other. This is one way. Because of certain frequencies, and we have teachings about how to protect yourself from like the dark empath. And it's more about teaching you how they come in. And we've discovered how they do it and who are the dark empaths. And we've done this again through research and observing and understanding what cult leaders are wanting and needing, and how a lot of them are just really fractured people. Because again, we got to bring it back to the bullying. So what vows did he make? And then how do we not participate? And I think that's the biggest thing, because the world was fooled by him because they didn't read him and Burgette's, I believe her name was Burgette's hearts. They didn't read them. They were too busy being in fear over a cloned baby, because that's what his big thing was. Let's clone, let's clone. And they did a hoax on cloning a baby. And it created fear. So the other point I want to make is when you're reading people's hearts, you're not doing it from a place of judgment. Judgment says you're bad, you're wrong. You're doing it from a place of love and discernment. Discernment says, okay, what does this mean? What must I do? Graham Cook said that. That's one of my favorite things to say. You're doing it from a non-judgment, non-biased stance, and you're doing it from a place of love. And that is where love and care for yourself and the other party. And when we identify our wounds, our fracturing, we identify these things, we are able to protect ourselves. So if you would like more information on this, please do reach out. Again, this is a special one because when these come out, I want to do special ones and really talk about this kind of stuff. We need to start learning how to communicate what we need, what we want in a healthy way. And then when we don't get it and we get hurt, we need to learn how to walk through our healing so that we can fully function in this world and be the fullness of who we're created to be, and be that in our destiny. Be grateful, be thankful, be that high frequency. And so if you would like to learn more, you can always visit our website. You can subscribe. I will be throwing these out here and there. So on that note, I hope to see you next time. And again, remember, I'm a musician, so I've always got to end on a note, and I hope it was positive. And if you have questions or comments, please leave them in. I will do my best to respond. Bye for now.